Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of Foolish Friends. I am your host, Bren Bigelow. I use they, them pronouns, and I am here again with the amazing Alanna. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alanna of Sacred Shadow Astrology. I am so excited to talk to you about the moon and all of her signs today.
Yes. Yes, so before we begin, we did draw some cards beforehand, some tarot cards, just to see how we're feeling and what we're showing up as and what tools are at our disposal for this podcast recording. And so I drew the 10 of Wands. It's funny that I'm talking about it first because actually Alana picked, did you pick, you talked about your card first, but I'll talk about mine,
Yeah.
I guess. But the 10 of Wands is interesting to me because as Alana pointed out earlier, I drew a 10 last time too. Was it a 10 or was it a 9?
It was a 10. I drew the Nine of Pentacles and you drew the Ten of Pentacles.
Right. So now we're moving into Wands.
Hmm.
So I always think of the Ten of Wands as like that's that final push. You have all the tools that you need. You're almost to the village. You're almost to your destination where you can finally set it all down and then figure out what to do with it. So how I interpreted that was that how I'm show what would be best for me to show up in this podcast for everyone involved is just making sure that I'm bringing all the tools to you all, and then you guys can decide what to do with those tools, I suppose. Did you have any
Oh,
additions to that card?
oh, I just love that. I love that because it also really rhymes with how I like to talk about the moon and the different signs, and we'll get to that later. But
Totally. Well, and
yeah.
just another side note, really quick. Nine of Wands is actually my card of the year, which I think of that as the resilience card. It's like you're not done with this yet. Like you got to keep going. And so I feel like, yeah, just honoring the moon. Like my relationship with the moon's also constantly changing. The moon's always constantly changing. So just being willing to go and roll with the punches too, um, is I think an energy that's important. So that's my
Yeah.
card. Would you like
Yeah.
to share your card?
Yeah, you pulled another 10 and I pulled more pentacles.
Hmm.
So I pulled the Two of Pentacles. And look how cute he is. He's just playing and he's got his treats there. Um, and I feel that this was such a reminder to me to just remember that astrology is not this isn't, it doesn't have to be so serious. Like we can stay grounded. That's good. But we also need to play.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's my reminder this morning.
I love that. Well, I think too, as as you're studying astrology, you want to get everything right, or you were like, oh, all these techniques, you want to like respect the ancients, but also you have to honor your intuition with it too.
Yeah.
That it's a language, astrology, and sometimes the stars are speaking to you in a language that's more feeling based rather than like, oh, it's a geometrical angle, like what you're
Hmm.
actually seeing. So, I feel like, yeah, that's just a good balance of balancing the physicality of the moon, which is the self. We talked about that in the last podcast episode, with also the feeling of the moon. That's
Hmm.
not always physical.
Hmm.
Well, it's physical and it's not. They're connected in different ways. But I love that card for you, and it's so playful. And you're using the cat tarot, right? Is that what it's called?
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is, I believe, the rainbow tarot. And we can link that in the show
Yeah.
notes just if you all want. I don't have my box with me, but
Oh.
yeah, so you guys can use that as well. So yes, today we are going to be talking about the moon through different zodiac signs, but before we touch into that, we want to talk a little bit about our experiences with the moon this last month. We had a new moon. We actually recorded our last episode on the new moon in Cancer just like a few weeks ago. And then last week we also experienced a full moon in Capricorn. So we've got a new moon and a full moon to talk about. And Alana, I would love for you to just tell us how that experience was for you as a Virgo rising.
Mm. I mean, it felt so incredible to get to record that first episode of you and I on the Cancer new moon. I have, Cancer in the 11th house. And so to begin this practice, um, reaching out into the world, um, felt very yeah, I'm like I'm ready to nurture this thing where I like communicate and reach out to like greater like numbers of people. Um, it was so much fun to record that episode with you. I know I was so nervous to start it, and yet it just feels so good to like have begun this like creative practice with you. And then my full moon, um, that was such a that was a delightful couple of days. Uh, like right after the full moon, I hosted we have like a monthly potluck that my spouse and I host at our house. And we've been doing that actually since around the time of the Capricorn new moon in 2024. Um, so this was our biggest turnout.
Wow.
And it just like, it really feels so good to see this thing like just become something of its own. Um, yeah, it feels like it feels like we've been building the structure for this like community
Yeah. Well,
and it
yeah,
feels so good. Yeah.
I have so many like good feelings and thoughts about what you were just sharing because you're talking about the 11th house of hopes and dreams and things like that, the
Hmm.
fifth house of creation and enjoyment.
Hmm.
And I just find it interesting that we're also talking about Cancer and Capricorn, kind of like the mom and dad of the zodiac, people who like are the nurturer versus well, balanced, I should say, because you're the
Hmm.
two of pentacles, right? We're balancing both energy.
Ah, yes.
So the Capricorn daddy energy, I guess, even though it is a feminine side, whatever, we can get to
Hmm.
that another time. But the Capricorn, let's get stuff done, let's provide, like, it's very physical. And then
Hmm.
balance with the moon, which is nurturing. So it's
Hmm.
interesting that your stories that you're talking about, the 11th and fifth house,
Hmm.
are also showing up like because when we were talking about this before we started recording the podcast, you're talking about fifth house Capricorn. Like you were even saying, like, I don't even know, like if you don't mind me sharing some personal, like you
Yeah.
started period early and like, that's very full moon
It's
energy.
so full moon.
But then also I was, then when you brought up the community gathering, it's like, well, was that structured fun? Like you were doing a service, something you had worked towards too, like for the last six
Yeah.
months to make it as big as it is. Like that's so
Hmm.
Capricorn. Like, step by step, it becomes this thing that's big,
Hmm.
give it time. So
Yeah.
I just really love that your experience was very on the nose for that. And do you have any Cancer or Capricorn placements that this full or new moon was impacting direct?
Um, yeah, I have it wasn't what the Cancer new moon was at like 4 degrees or something, I think.
Yes, it was.
It's not super close to my Cancer placements, but I have Venus and Mars as well as my South Node and Chiron in Cancer.
So that's a pretty
Um,
big deal.
yeah, it's a lot of things. They're all kind of a little bit later in the sign though, but yeah, there's a lot going on there for me. And
Well, I love
then
too that your 11th house, your Cancer new moon, you started this, recording the podcast with me, and we were talking
mhm,
moon, which is very Cancerian. For
mhm,
like us starting on a new moon, Cancer is like so cool. But also in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, and like getting yourself out there and being part of something bigger than yourself, and showing up in a way that brings you joy and also helps others. I do see that as like a very 11th house thing.
yeah, I'm also noticing that like my examples being one, this like virtual sharing of like ideas and information, and then the other being this very material, like physical gathering of people, and that just really well embodying the like split between like being above the horizon and being below the horizon.
Totally. Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah.
I love that. Did you have any other shares about your new and full moon experience before I talk about mine?
Yeah, yeah. I want to hear about you.
Well, my new moon, my IC is at 4 degrees Cancer.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, Aries rising. So, we're working for me with these lunations, the new and full moons, like the fourth house, and the 10th house axis. So, very uh impactful for me. Also, we did that. That was, 4 degrees. That's on my IC. It's interesting looking back because, sometimes when I'm looking at astrology, I'm like, wow, it's like hitting my angle like so directly. Like I'm going to see something so immediate and so in my face, like that this is the thing that's happening. And that's not always the case. Like for this, it was very clear to me, like, oh, I'm working from home. Like that's very much 10th, fourth house, like axis thing. We're doing this thing that I can record from the comfort of my home. Um,
Hmm.
and then also, this is how I show up in a bigger realm. Like people from all over the world really could click on this video and, or listen to what we're saying, and I would have no idea. So, and this is also opposing my Jupiter in the 10th too. So I feel like that,
Hmm.
like something, the push and pull of like wanting to put myself out there, but also wanting to be protected at home. There's this beautiful saying that I've been repeating a lot this Cancer season, which has been, and I'm going to butcher this, but like basically, like the goal of all ambition is to be happy at home.
Mm.
And I think that's so great for the fourth, 10th house conversation. It's
Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
I crave that like legacy building and showing up and being seen in a certain way in the world, but I also just like want to be like not perceived at all and chill at home. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about what people are thinking about me. But that's and so that's been like the push and pull. I also started a new relationship with a Cancer rising person actually in the new moon.
Hmm.
So that's really exciting and that's been flourishing. And then the Capricorn full moon that happened last week, that relationship has continued to kind of like develop and deepen, which is really cool. But then also that's my 10th house stuff too. So career stuff has been coming up. There's been a few work dramas that I've had to, that's also the Mercury Leo energy, which is
Mm.
we're about to retrograde into that, and that'll be wonderful to deal with. But well, oh, I have just so much I want to say too, because we also just experienced like a Mars retrograde in Leo not that long ago, these last few months. So like I feel like we're revisiting a lot of these Leo themes, especially with
Mm.
in Aquarius, like opposing that Leo energy. We're just a lot about like us like our enjoyment versus futuristic growth and like comfort versus growth as well. you know Technology stuff too, obviously, but yeah, essentially the Capricorn full moon, I did get a lot of recognition, which was really cool. 10th house stuff of like, yeah, people really respect me and I've earned that. I
Yeah.
have been putting in the work and people see that, and now I feel that responsibility and respect. So
Hmm.
that's my story. I don't know if you had any additions that you wanted to share.
No, I think that's great. I'm so excited for you.
And at the beginning of this podcast, like Alanna and I were planning, like I was like, let's not talk about this for more than 5 minutes. Limited time. We could talk about so many things so long.
Yeah.
Already going over time.
Yeah. And
Just
I'm ready to use my timer for the signs, but maybe I should have used
well, we
that
have
for
one more thing before the signs, remember?
yes. Yes, it's
And then we're gonna
true.
dig into the signs. I know y'all are so we just wanted to also just talk about why do we want to know all of the different moon signs and different signs rather than just our own like our own personal natal moon. So,
Yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about why it's important to know?
Yeah, I mean, I totally like understand and have been the person to like just scroll through, just skim through the horoscope to just be like, I just want to read about mine. Um, but when we talk about the moon, the moon changes, right? And so we have our progressed moon that changes pretty in the grand scheme of things, like pretty often. So every 2 or 3 years, like we all have our progressed moon move into a new sign.
Do you
And understanding,
briefly what a progressed moon is for people who might not know what that is, really quick?
oh yeah. So a progressed moon is this like symbolic timing method, right? Or just not just a progressed moon, but the whole chart. So each day at the beginning of your life represents 1 year of your life. So I'm 34. 34 days after I was born. That chart is like in a way kind of like it doesn't take over the natal chart, but it kind of like overlays it and gives it more nuance of like I think of it a little bit as like this is what I'm growing into in my life. Recently, my progressed moon moved from Scorpio and into Sagittarius.
Mm,
And I think
very
that makes
exciting.
so much sense for all of a sudden being like, okay, wait, I gotta go like be a lot more external with the things I'm learning. I have to go meet people. Like I, I actually made it to Norwalk and now here I am talking to you. Um, and yeah, like we're all going to experience these phases of life that really like you get a lot of understanding about those phases when you know about where your progressed moon is.
Mhm. So for
So,
every, the moon changes every 2 to 3 days, right? So every
hmm
3 years is when your progressed moon is going to change signs.
hmm
That's like Alanna was saying, it's not going to change your natal moon sign or any of your other signs. It's just going to add another additional flavor to it. So,
hmm
um, that is one reason why you'd want to listen to all of the different zodiacs within like what the moon cycling through each of those signs. And also just through transits, like we're all every month going to experience the moon in all of these signs. So they're going to
hmm
hit your chart some way like all the time. They're always doing that. But not only that, like the more that you know about the moon in particular zodiac signs, the more that you can learn to interact with different people in a more aligned way. So, like, if
hmm
you are, it's like myself, for example, an Aries moon, I like to get stuff done. Like, let's go, let's move. Me interacting with the Taurus moon is going to be a little different because, like, I know that I want to pick up the pace, but this person is probably going to want to move slower. So,
hmm
how can I get my needs met also with them getting their needs met as well? How can we meet in
Yeah.
the middle or,
Or
things.
even just like, even if there's no meeting in the middle,
Hmm.
just knowing, you know, just being like, oh, that's your context. That's my context.
The moon is your
Cool.
emotional body. That's like what you need from a day-to-day basis to feel emotionally secure. So
hmm
this is a really important planetary body for us to investigate and know a lot about. And if you want to know more information about that too, we did have another episode on the moon last month that you can check out, episode 2 of Friends. Yeah, Foolish Friends. That's what we're calling it now. So anyway, without further ado, I'm ready if you want to start talking about Aries moons.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're starting this timer because we're yappers.
Yeah, we are yappers. And you know what? I actually want to start.
Yeah,
I'm an Aries
go.
moon, so let me start this off. I
Yes.
wore my Aries shirt today, my flames, because today is actually the moon is in Aries right now as we speak. It's my lunar return today. So every month you'll have a lunar return. It's just when the moon is at the same point in the sky where it was when you were born. So, my natal moon is at 7 degrees Aries. So, at some point today, it will hit that, and actually my Venus as well and my ascendant. Yeah. So, I guess we're not talking about that today, but I'll talk about the Aries moon. Some things that I already kind of mentioned is that Aries moons like to be impulsive, and we're very much like, just like instinctually driven. So if I just get an instinct to do something, I'm going to do it. And also if someone's going to get in my way of that, that will not happen because if I'm driven for something, I'm going to go for it. And like people like it also can be blinding because like it's like, okay, this is the only way to go. And then once the reality starts to hit of like, oh, you have a goal, well, it's going to take probably more than you thought it would to complete. And that's when the Aries
hmm
can have that burnout of like, Aries is really good. It's the initiator, right? It's a cardinal sign,
hmm
so starting something, but also not wanting to finish it because then it's boring and then you want to start something else new. We were talking about novelty. Aries moons
hmm
love novelty.
hmm
And it's okay to be bored once in a while is
Yeah.
a mantra you might want to tell your Aries moon people.
Yes. Yeah. I have a lot of Aries moons in my life, and I don't know if you'll identify with this, but I find that having that initiatory energy stifled or like blocked or stopped in any way can be like such a like a hurt feeling kind of moment of like it like pops their bubble, and I like really feel for them in that moment. So yeah, I think about Aries as like it's the first sign of the zodiac, so it's like that beginner energy. So it can have like a lot of young energy, Um, and my Aries moon spouse will sometimes say that they're having an Aries tantrum of just like a little bit of like toddler energy of like, which is, so fair. You brought the spark and no one's using it to light a fire. Like that would hurt my feelings too.
Yeah,
So,
that was so beautifully said. I really love that and appreciate that because Aries moons, it's not that we're unevolved or whatever. It is more of the baby of the zodiac, right? So
mhm.
I'm for those of you just listening, I'm doing quote unquote. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just once you let us feel our feelings, it also goes away. Like we just so I would say also intensity is a key word here.
Yes.
Intensity with the emotional space in the body. And I crave intensity as well. It's Mars ruled, right? And you were talking
Hmm.
about tools that each
Hmm.
sign, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but once you feel it, just let me feel it and then it'll go away and we'll be good, but
Yeah.
you don't give me an outlet to feel something, it'll build up and it'll become an even bigger problem down the line.
Oh yeah. Um,
Yeah, we
yeah.
like to talk about the tools, like,
Yeah, I mean, so Aries is a Mars ruled sign. It's Mars's fire sign. So it's the like um initiatory creative Mars. And so the moon using the tools of that Mars to like do things, get it started. Um that really shapes like when you have like, okay, I have this emotional body using the tools of like initiating creativity. Like to me, that just perfectly like kind of narrows down on what we're talking about when we talk about an Aries moon.
totally. Yeah, I feel that Mars energy. So if you want to know more about if you have an Aries moon or someone in your life with an Aries moon, you might want to also look at their Mars sign to just see
Mm,
also what's feeding into that.
yeah.
Houses are really important for also uncovering like how these moon signs are showing up in the native's life. So
Hmm.
we've talked about this before. My moon is in my first house. So I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve. You're going to see this Aries energy pretty fast, like when you meet me.
Hmm.
Whereas some moons are more hidden. Because my moon sign's also the same as my ascendant. So like it's not as hidden as like someone with maybe, a Sagittarius rising, but a Aries moon.
Hmm.
It's going to be a little different because it's showing up in a different house. But we're not talking about houses today much. Just know that's also
It's
part
a really
of
big
the conversation
consideration.
is.
Um, we do have to move on to Taurus.
I would love to. Taurus moons. I love
Mm,
Taurus moons.
me
Taurus
too.
or the moon loves being in Taurus. It's in
Yes.
its exaltation there.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed about the Taurus moons in my life is that they're generally pretty chill and they're very much like balanced and like it's not that big of a deal, like we're gonna figure it out. They're a fixed sign, so they're slow and steady wins the race. They are slower, I will say. Taurus energy infuriates me sometimes because it's like, why are you so slow, speed up. But also it's like very luxurious. It's like they're slow because it's like smell the roses. Like why don't you have like a nice little cuddle sesh or like have a nice meal,
Hmm.
like chill out. The moon loves being in that comfort zone of Taurus. So
Yeah.
Taurus is also Venus ruled, and Venus is beauty and pleasure. So
Hmm.
one would love to be in that space of beauty and pleasure.
Yeah. Taurus is Venus's like earth sign. So like Venus as the receptive and Venus as like the like grounding versions of her. And I wanted to mention the moon is exalted in Taurus, and what that means is that um, it's almost like when you visit somebody's house and like everyone who lives there just loves you.
Hmm.
Like you're just so well loved there, and they'll just like do whatever for you because they just adore you so much. Um, and that's like why I say like, okay, the moon is using the tools of Venus. It's because she's in her house. If I came to your house, I would have to use whatever is in your house to do the things that I need to do,
Hmm.
you know? So if you came over to my house, you would have to like find things to meet your needs in like, what do I have? A lot of art supplies and woodworking tools and like a really big spice cabinet. You would have to like do your Bren things with
Mhm.
my Alanna things.
Mhm.
So
So a Taurus
I hope that that makes sense.
yeah, they would be in a home that's very luxurious and they have everything they need, even more so than maybe they even have at home.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so it really makes sense to me that the moon would love being a tourist for these reasons.
Oh, yeah. And so if you
Uh,
have a Moon Taurus person in your life, some things that they might really feel comforted and nourished by is like a good meal. Like treat them
mhm,
to a nice bougie meal. They'll love you forever. I feel like in my experience with the Taurus moons that I know is that they're not picky necessarily when it comes to food, but they appreciate when it's finer dining, you know?
mhm.
Like I don't, they're gonna eat regardless.
Yeah.
They're,
And let them nap, you
but
know?
let them nap,
Let them nap.
let them have a
I
break.
in in kind of brainstorming for this episode, I was just writing down people that I know personally who have these different moon signs. And I came up with 5 people in my immediate life that have a Taurus moon. 4 of them are therapists or related to some kind of like body work or feelings, like kind of profession. So I think like having that really well-loved moon, there's something about being able to connect to feelings. It just it seems to really like come through them.
Well, and like physically within the body, because Taurus being an earth sign and the moon, as we talked about in the last episode, like is very much body oriented. So an earth sign,
Mhm,
it's natural for someone Taurus moon, they're going to feel it in their bodies and they're going to want to navigate their life through that feeling.
mhm,
And it's very sturdy. It's earthy, so it's
mhm,
grounded. It can be. And again, if you're like thinking about a Taurus moon who's like definitely not meeting these like explanations, remember that we're speaking archetypally and that moon, maybe the person that you're thinking of, maybe their moon is combust by the sun or something, or maybe
yeah,
something within the chart is interacting with it in a way that is
yeah.
forming as well as maybe it
Yeah,
would,
maybe Venus is conjunct Mars or in a Mars sign,
yeah,
because the moon will be looking to Venus to support her.
right.
But maybe Venus is like doing something crazy. We
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
It all affects, it's all connected.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah. Which is something I say often when I talk about bodies. It's like
yeah.
everything, oh, this hurts, it's because this hurts. And
The body keeps the score. It's so real. Yeah, when people tell me about injuries, I am not a doctor. I am not a
Mhm,
doctor, but I do know that like the hands rule Gemini. So I'm like, well,
mhm.
if hands are hurting. Maybe you get carpal tunnel. Maybe there's like a communication something going on with you or something, a Gemini issue. But that's my kind of
Well,
two.
speaking of, we should move on to Gemini Moon.
Let's talk about Gemini moons. I love Gemini moons. One of my favorite people in the world is a Gemini moon, which drives me
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, my sister is a Gemini moon.
oh,
Um, I okay, Gemini moons are very cerebral. Gemini energy is the twins, right? So I'm just thinking about whenever we're talking about Gemini, there's two voices that need to be heard at one time. Sometimes they're working together, but sometimes they're not. That's why some people have issue with Gemini energy because it's like, well, you said one thing, but you're doing another thing. It's like, well, two things can be true. Two opposing things can be true. That's what Gemini
mhm,
is all about.
mhm.
So, um yeah, how do you describe Gemini moons with that air energy?
Yeah, I mean, the Gemini moons that I know seem to really need a very specific amount of social time. It has to, whatever amount of social time it is that they need, it needs to be that. Um, and actually, the Gemini moons I know are very into photography.
Oh,
That's the theme I have here. And that's just the people that are in my life. But I think about that as like having that kind of um, like communication technology, um, and having that just be like a moment, just like a snippet. It
mm-hmm.
feels very like quick and very, I don't
See,
know. It makes me think of Gemini, to be like a photographer. Um, yeah.
that's interesting.
Uh,
I also think, well, and I'm just thinking about elements too within the moon space, like moon
mhm,
being in an air sign, Gemini. there has to be socialization, obviously, for emotional fulfillment within the Gemini, and it depends on where it's showing up in your chart again. So
Hmm.
keep that in mind. But also intellectual stimulation is important for that person to feel again. Moon is talking about feelings, but feel
Yes.
emotional
Yeah.
emotionally secure in a relationship
Yeah.
with someone. You probably need to have some sort of intellectual rapport with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking about Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So
Mhm.
the moon using the tools of Mercury to feel nurtured and emotionally supported. So having those words makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they also might like gossip a little bit more. They just like to be in the know, there
Yeah.
doesn't have gossip is not always a bad thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, just I love that energy. I'm thinking about, yeah, my sister has Gemini in the seventh house. So it's also like the
Oh,
people that she's interacting with, that seventh house energy, like she needs to feel that in her connections. And maybe she also does attract, she likes Gemini energy. Like her bestie is Gemini rising. So
oh, I love that.
yeah,
I
that makes,
love that.
yeah, seventh house moon. And also
Yeah.
other people's, I know we're not talking about seventh house stuff, but like seventh house would indicate like other people, where other people are emotionally is going to also feed into your own emotional security. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I've noticed that with all my notes here are like I have it listed by sign, but then I like noted the house. And yeah, I'm realizing how much like, yeah, my seventh house moon people are really like they're really in tune and really affected so deeply by like other people's feelings. Um, I have one Gemini moon here that I'm thinking about with the moon in the eighth house.
Mm.
And she doesn't think that she's social. She doesn't think she's like, oh, I don't identify with Gemini. Um, she's Gemini moon and sun. She doesn't think of herself as like a social person. And talking to her about it, we kind of like came around to this idea of like, oh yeah, are you like kind of telling yourself that other people are more social? And I think a lot about the eighth house is like, what are we projecting onto other people?
Ooh,
What
yeah.
are we saying that they're giving to us? And I realize that eighth house is more about like, what are other people giving to us? But, kind of like similar to when we think about all the different characters in our dreams, everyone in our dream is us. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes everyone in our chart is also us.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I just thought that was such an interesting thing to see a Gemini sun, Gemini moon say, ah, I'm not social.
I know.
No.
That's crazy.
But, that's how deeply the houses can affect how this plays out.
Right.
So I thought it was just such a good example.
Well, and I love that you're talking about that too, because the chart is the snapshot of your entire life. It's not just this one moment or just you. It's about also the people that are interacting with your chart too. So
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense for sure.
yeah. That
Wonderful.
was our timer.
Great. Well, I think we have just enough time to do Cancer before our little break. So
Yeah.
Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon loves being in Cancer. It's like me being in my own house. It's like you
Hmm.
own house. It's like cool. I know
Yeah.
where everything is.
Yeah.
It's
What a relief to be
Mhm.
home.
Mhm. But remember too, just because you're in domicile or in home where you're at, like if you have a placement in its home in domicile, doesn't mean that it's going to be like all roses, and
Hmm.
all excitement. Because like just because something's operating nice, like Cancer is an emotional sign. The moon
Hmm.
is a changing sign. And even though Cancer and the moon are talking the same wavelength, it
Hmm.
still can be emotionally volatile. It's like
Hmm.
the moon can be of extremes. That's why we have eclipses. That's why we have, full moons, which is an extreme of
Hmm.
like a new moon. So if you're operating in this emotional mind space or like wavelength within that Cancer energy too, it can
Hmm.
just feel, it's just a big feeler. Just big,
Hmm.
it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. It's just big feelings are big feelings.
Yeah.
So,
And just being really, really in touch with those, like um, the Cancer moons that I know are very like, well, I know one Cancer moon pretty well, and she is just like, I feel like I've seen her mood change so quickly. I've seen like five different moods in one conversation.
Mhm.
And I honestly love that.
Mhm.
Like truly, like be with it, be with those feelings and like really like let it happen, you know.
Mhm.
I love it. And I was recently talking to another Cancer Moon, and she's just like, oh, I cry every day. I
Normal.
have a Cancer Moon. I'm gonna cry every day. I'm like, honestly, good for you.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
let it
nothing
out.
wrong with that.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful.
Mhm.
Not even kind of beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cancer is also the sign of nurturing. It is
Hmm.
the mother of the zodiac, again, quote unquote, mother. Just someone who nurtures and cuddles and takes care because Cancer is the crab, right? So there is that soft, ooey gooey energy in the inside. That's what
Hmm.
the majority of it's made out of, but it also has like this hard outer shell of like the claws. So that's where the
Hmm.
mama bear can come out too. So
Hmm.
I guess I'm wondering with your examples with that Cancer moon, do you see that like mama bear energy come out in any way or protective
Mm.
or
Oh
like
yeah.
being
Oh
vulnerable?
yeah. My my close friend that has Cancer Moon, I feel like she can get mad,
Yeah.
you know? It's not that it's all the having the big feelings is not just sweet feelings. It's not just caring feelings. It's also like, yeah, it can be big protective, big like, you know? And that's what it takes to, be like, yeah, have that like mother energy because mama bear's got to protect sometimes.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, like if we're talking about a Cancer moon that's like maybe in distress in someone's chart somehow, that could be
Hmm.
someone like overprotective, like too fast.
Mm.
They get triggered
Hmm.
emotionally over something that you might think is like not that big of a deal, but they're super
Yeah.
triggered. So they come out, you know? That's why some people
Yeah.
have issue with that Cancer energy, that
Hmm.
overprotectiveness.
Yeah. Well, I thought I like to remind like, Cancer is also a cardinal sign like Aries.
Hmm
It's very much like we're going this way. We're doing this thing. Going over here. Decisive. And
Yes.
even though it's changeable
Yes.
and like, one doesn't cancel out the other.
Totally. Well, and if again we're thinking about the crab, I love that you brought that up because yes, cancers go after what they want. They're initiators. There's that cardinal energy, but unlike an Aries, Aries goes head first. That's the cardinal of the Aries, but
Hmm.
Cancer goes sideways. You know, the crab moves
Yeah.
indirectly. So you kind
Hmm.
of don't know where they're coming from
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
You know, they might come get you from one side. Yeah.
Kitchen. Oh, I love that. I didn't know where you're gonna go with that, but yeah, that like coming up to something sideways.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That
So
makes sense
that's
to me.
Cancer moon. Let's now talk about Leo moons, another fiery moon. It's a fixed
Yeah.
fire sign though, so it's gonna show up a little bit differently than like an Aries moon, for example. Leo's like the sign of performance and what's it called? Like flamboyance and
Mm,
also loyalty and so I would say that a Leo moon probably would find a lot of emotional fulfillment from feeling seen authentically.
yeah. Well,
Um,
that's because Leo is the sign of the sun. So it's about like radiating that like vibrancy, that vitality. So the moon using the tools of the sun of like take care of me by seeing me.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and they'll take care of you too. Like
Hmm.
they really will. If you show up for them, they'll show up for you. It's like ride or die until if you mess with a Leo moon to the point of no return, then
I
it's
don't recommend it.
don't either. No.
I don't recommend
It's
it.
fire, they'll burn you. But I do love the relationship you made with the sun and the moon because the sun and the moon are always in relationship with each other,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
the moon is always reflecting the light of the sun. So
Hmm.
a Leo moon, a solar moon is going to maybe radiate a little brighter or like just the emotional realm might be a little louder, maybe. It's more
Hmm.
flamboyant, it's more obvious, maybe a little bit more dramatic. There might be more drama for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you ever like think about like, okay, the only people who could have a Leo full moon in their chart is an Aquarius?
Oh yeah,
Like sometimes that just kind of trips me up. Like I'm a Gemini. The only people who could have a Sagittarius full moon is a Gemini.
right.
And there's just something about reflecting back those opposing forces.
Well,
That
and
is,
I love that you're bringing it up with Leo and Aquarius specifically because
mm,
some people just don't think that they're similar really at all. Like Leo is very much like self-expression. Like let's see like who you are as an individual. I do see
hmm
Leo as like an individuating element, but so is Aquarius. Aquarius
yeah,
individuates in more of a way that's like I'm different than others and like but I do think that the thing that people don't often talk about is how Aquarius also has ego issues like Leo, and we're not talking about
hmm
Aquarius Moon quite yet, but I do want to mention that like whenever we're seeing two sibling signs or two signs that look at each other, we're
hmm
on the same playing field. You're looking at each other. It's a mirror. So it
hmm
might not be an exact reflection mirror, but there is a common ground there. They just go about it in different ways.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Do you have any Leo moons in your life?
You know, Leo moons, I do. I mean I have all the different signs. I love all different signs. And for me, I love Leo moons because they are so creative and they give me
Mm,
permission. Leo for me is in my fifth house. So if I'm interacting with a Leo moon, I want to have fun and we want to be playful. A lot of the Leo moons in my life, I like we play games. Like
hmm
let's have some fun. And that's what I really like about them. And I also like make believe. Like drama isn't bad in itself. I love Leo for the drama. We all love Leo for the drama because it's entertaining. The thing is, like, when it's in an emotional space, it might get a little more irritating because it's like, okay, this is like way more than it really needs to be. It feels like that anyway. But
hmm
me as a fire moon as well, I understand that because it's like, I also understand what it's like to just have all these really hot feelings all at once. You have to let it out.
hmm
But the difference between like an Aries moon and like the Leo moon is the Leo might hold on a little bit longer. Uh,
Yeah, I was just
fixed.
about to say that. Yeah, that's such a difference between Aries and Leo. Of like Aries, like you said, give you a minute to feel your feelings. But I feel like you give a Leo moon a minute to feel their feelings and they just get more heated about it.
Yeah,
And, you know, it takes all kinds. We need that. We need people who can stick with it for sure. It's a lot of heat, though.
it
It's a
can
lot
be.
of heat. Yeah.
And so when we're talking about just any moon sign as well, I think it's important to also know that these are just like tendencies for each of the moons. So if you give it an appropriate outlet, it actually can be really fun and great. Like
Oh,
a
yeah.
Leo can channel a lot of, or a Leo moon especially can channel a lot of their feelings into their art, and they can
hmm
cool, like into their drama. Like they can be really great actors even because
Yeah.
they have an outlet for that emotion. Whereas, like, if all the drama in your life is going to be within interpersonal relationships, that's not as fun because it's like you're just dramatic,
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
channeling it into something, that's when
Yeah.
it can be really beautiful and productive. So just know
Yeah.
that
I know, I know a Leo moon, the fifth house Leo moon, incredibly musician, truly an incredible musician. So,
yeah.
yeah. But that's all of our time for Leo, unfortunately.
Right. Oh, that's all right. All right, Virgo Moon.
Ooh.
Okay, Virgo Moon, do you want to start us off? Let's talk about you, baby.
Uh, um, well, again, we're in the house of Mercury. So it's very like, what do we know? What are we saying? Um, like there's a little bit of like, who are we going to talk to? But, instead of being that air sign active, it's this earth sign receptive. So it's like, what data can I take in? What can I receive in order to create something kind of practical? Um, yeah, I have too much Mercury influence in my chart to be able to like fully tease it apart.
Sure.
Yeah, but I have so many Virgo moons in my life. Just, I keep finding more, and it's a delight. Um, we seem to be folks who really can kind of tie the things together and not be too like firm on um like I have this particular plan and it has to work this way. You know, it's more like, well, don't waste my time because I already did all this work with the data to make the plan. So, like if you're going to change my plan, it better be for a good reason.
Well, I've always find Virgo a very interesting sign because it is mutable Earth. So
Yeah.
like Earth to me is very structured and like this
Yeah.
is physical. It's
Yeah.
its thing, but when we introduce like that Virgo element of like more flexibility, that is a really interesting uh
Yeah.
yeah, energy.
I feel like Virgo is like such a natural paradox of
Yes.
things,
Mhm.
you know. Kind of like like Scorpio also has a paradox of like fixed water, but
Yeah.
like yeah.
Stack.
So some signs to me just like contain some interesting kind of multitudes.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
I find Virgo really interesting because its sibling sign is also Pisces, which is the ocean. It's like endless, like,
mhm,
so they both see, this bigger picture and they're both healers, right? I definitely see Virgo and Pisces as the potential to be great healers of the zodiac, but
mhm,
Pisces in more of a way of emotional, spiritual healing and Virgo more in like physical healing, like, oh, you fell and scratched your knee, let me cleanse that for you and put a band-aid on it kind of
mhm.
vibe. Very practical. Practicality
Yeah.
is kind
Yeah.
and how
Sometimes sometimes when I think about the Virgo Pisces axis, like the image that comes to me is two kids playing at the beach, and one is just splashing around in the water, like playing mermaids, and the other is like meticulously making little sandcastles
yeah,
and like digging little moats. Um, and I
totally.
don't even have to tell you which one is which.
No. Oh, Pisces. Well, I want to ask you too, while we're on the topic, like what would make a Gemini mer or a Gemini moon different than a Virgo moon because they're both Mercury ruled? Like what's the difference?
Mm,
I know you were saying it's hard to tell the difference because you are also so Gemini, but
yeah.
good.
Yeah. I feel like we have that natural difference between the active and the receptive of like a Gemini being like, I'm gonna like go out and take these actions because I have this active energy. And Virgo's like, let me receive what's happening so that I can process it. Um, and I think I wore this shirt specifically today because I think Virgo might be one of the witchiest signs of the zodiac for this reason of like, let me take in all this information and kind of process it in this very physical, material realm kind of way, um, to like create these like veins of communication almost because we can't forget this is still Mercury.
Mhm. Definitely.
But
So
yeah.
communication might be like really important still for a Virgo moon that,
Hmm.
but also maybe acts of service might be really nice for you, or that's something that you appreciate when other people do, or you might be drawn to do that yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that that is definitely one of my big love languages that I give
Hmm.
to others.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um
Well, I know we're short on time, but I have a question that I need answered. So
yeah.
if we're talking about your emotional needs, so right, you're the Virgo moon, right? So
Hmm.
how would then maybe like a Pisces moon balance you out, or like what is the need?
Mm.
I don't know, from the reflective of its
Yeah.
sibling.
Oh, I love that. Because I think about, because I'm also a Virgo rising, and so having Pisces as my seventh house, kind of doing a lot of my like internal work, realizing that I do all of my Pisces qualities, I kind of naturally say that other people have. So like being really like intuitive or like spiritual or like really understanding and healing. I'm like, that's somebody else. But like I think those are qualities that both of those signs actually really share. Um, but
So,
having that natural balance between the Mercury ruled and the Jupiter ruled, right? Of like Virgo, like is like, I'm gonna look at this tiny little piece and do the puzzle. And Pisces is like, wow, look at this. Oh, you know?
Literally. Well, I just also am wondering, like, would you maybe because you're Virgo moon, you show up as like more of like giving the acts of service, but then maybe you'd like to receive that Pisces moon energy more
Mm,
because that's the balance. I don't
yeah,
know. I guess
yeah.
it depends on other things in your chart, but um, just something to consider within your moon sign, maybe the opposite moon sign. Because I will say I have an Aries moon, right? And we're about to talk about Libra moon. So maybe this is a great transition. But I do feel like I attract a lot of Libra moons. My mom's also Libra moon. And like, I love them. And also, they drive me crazy, you know?
Mm.
So I feel like it is what I
What?
need. And also, sometimes it's triggering to my moon, you know?
Mm. Yeah, so like say more about what happens there. Yeah, how does a Libra moon show up that's like really tripping up your Aries moon?
What I don't like is sometimes like dancing around things to keep the peace, quote unquote, when really being direct would actually keep the peace more, you know? So like a Libra moon will tell me like you can pick where to eat. It's no big deal, whatever. And then I'm okay with making that decision, but they if they actually had a preference like, "Oh, I wanted Chinese," and we actually ended up going to Mexican food, it's like, "Why don't you say something?" Like you
Yeah.
that like you're trying to like cater to me when like literally I don't have a preference. I just made a decision to make a decision, but you actually wanted something, but you didn't say it because you wanted to keep the peace.
Mm.
That's so
Yeah.
it's like then I'm always questioning like, well, what do you actually want? Like then I become
Yeah.
that Libra, which is like, well,
Yeah.
I don't care. What do you want? It's like, oh my God, I can't. But also I have North Node in Libra, so I know that Libra energy is like really important for me in this lifetime. So
Go ahead and roast yourself. I love it.
literally,
I love it.
literally,
Well,
I all of these things. I do see myself very much Aries Libra axis, honestly. Like,
mm,
and I have a big concentration of Aries energy, and I'm a big believer of this. If you have a big concentration of energy in one sign, you better be ready to confront that other sign, you know, that is
yeah.
holding it because, or like at least get more of those people in your life to balance you out because there needs to be balance somewhere. And if it's not coming
Yeah.
within you, it needs to come from somewhere, or else it's going to cause
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. Put yourself in a context where you become more balanced out and you can become sort of like more, not just, yeah, I feel like I got to have all Aries would just be like, I'm just going to burn everyone.
Yeah. Well, I
You
understand why an Aries moon would be annoying too. Like, not just being a hater towards the Libra. Like, I understand
Oh,
it goes both ways.
well, I totally get the like Libra, like I don't want to cause a fuss with like anything. You know, this is our other Venus sign. Um, it is the more active Venus sign, right? Because it's air and that's an active sign. Um, but if the point is to be like have social cohesion, it makes sense to have it be like really difficult to want to make a decision.
Mhm.
Um, because you want everyone to be happy. And if there's one thing I can tell all the Libras of the world, like you're never going to be able to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Like that's not a realistic goal. We can want it, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's not going to happen. And something that I thought of while you were talking about the like Aries Libra struggle here is that something I tell people, especially people like that I start dating, like really early on, I'm like, listen, you have to tell me no about something so that I can trust your yes.
Yes.
Like, yeah, yeah. Um, and I wonder how that plays out in all the Aries Libra relationships of the world. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and if we're just talking about Libra moon again, it is a social sign. I love what you said about the Venus element of that. It's very, I think it might be one of the more difficult moon signs if I'm going to just put in my own 2 cents, just because
Mhm.
moon is very much about your physical body and like where you're at emotionally. And if your moon is in like a very social sign, your happiness really does depend on like the joy of the people that you are interacting with. And that
Yeah.
I don't really like. But again,
Yeah.
maybe that's my Aries moon talking. I
Yeah.
but
Well, also, like, Libra is where Saturn is exalted.
hmm,
And Saturn, in a lot of ways, brings the opposite, like, vibe of the moon. Like, we're talking about let's make things that are very stable and unchanging. Um, like, let's like build like foundations. And the moon's just sort of like, moving around all the time, changing all the time, and um, I could see how like it's almost like this if you go to somebody's house and all the people that live there really adore this other person that you know you're nothing like. It can kind of feel like, oh, like I'm not bringing the energy you're looking for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a balanced sign. So life is imbalanced. So if you're also like in a sign of like balance, it's like how do you constantly
Then I
balance?
feel for you. Yeah.
I didn't realize that we would be so, I don't know, that this Libra moon would take this direction because I've never really thought about them in this way, actually, like
hmm
consciously.
hmm
For saying it, it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
more
That
passion for
this
some.
whole Libra discussion took me by surprise, which I think we could talk about at a different time. But let's move on to Scorpio.
Yeah, great idea. Scorpio. I have a sweet spot for Scorpio moons because I understand this is a detriment sign. Scorpio does not like to, or the moon
Yeah.
does not like to be in Scorpio because Scorpio is it is a water sign, but
hmm
it is so deep and it is a fixed sign, kind of like we were talking
hmm
about fixed water, just like stagnant. And then it's also really deep. Scorpio is a really
Yeah.
deep feeler, and the moon is
Yeah.
uncomfortable there because it's like, oh my God, it's really too deep. It's like it's very and it's Mars ruled, right? So it's that there's like a viciousness with that too. I don't really think
Yeah.
the moon is naturally like buddy buddy with Mars. And I have a Martian moon too. I understand as an Aries moon, like I'm like, yeah, it can be rough to have like that energy needs to go somewhere. And when it's in the emotional space, it's intense.
Mm. I think about Scorpio being like Mars's water sign. Honestly, this is probably from me watching the astrology podcast. This sounds in my mind like an Austin Coppock thing to say of like, Scorpio will fight you by being your friend. Like, I'm gonna like learn about you, I'm gonna get on your good side, and I'm gonna get what I want from the relationship in this very Mars kind of thing of like, I'm gonna get what I want.
Mhm.
Um, uh, but to do that with Scorpio is, yeah, I'm gonna fight you by being your friend. And
Right.
I'm that might not be like the correct place I found that, but
I
it
love
just
that.
sounds right.
I love that. Well, and also, the other ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, if we're talking modern rulership. So that's a
Yeah.
very intense, obsessive energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Mm-hmm.
like comfortable. I know a lot of Scorpio moons, and I'll tell you a million times, I love Scorpio energy. I do. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with you guys. I am. And you
Yeah.
guys, like, your obsession though is a whole nother level, and I'm like scared of you. Like,
It's a little scary.
it's
Yeah.
very
I
scary,
know I
intimidating.
know a few Scorpio moons who are activists,
Yes.
and I think that perfectly like encapsulates the I'm gonna fight by making friends.
Right. Well, and remember,
And that's just
Scorpio
delightful.
Scorpio moon is that fixed sign. So if you have your
hmm
values locked and
hmm
loaded, you're ready to
Yes.
navigate. And yeah, but again, this can go different ways too. Like I'm sure there's a lot of Scorpio moons. Scorpio honestly can be a bad guy real easy, you know?
Mm.
So it really just depends on how that energy is being used because it is really powerful. So
Well, also, I want to point out a
Mhm,
lot of people, I forget which year you were born, Bren, but like a lot, like folks my age, a
mhm,
little older, a little younger, have Pluto in Scorpio. And
mhm.
I think that it's for this reason that Scorpio gets a little bit extra on that bad reputation. Because anyone who has a big Scorpio placement is just messing around with Pluto.
Right.
Um,
Intensify.
for my generation.
Mhm.
Um, I think that, oh, and when we get to Capricorn, I'll mention that too. Like more outer planets of like, ugh, don't give me responsibilities. Like, don't give me like generational like needs and wants. Like,
Yeah.
that's scary. Like, oh, I don't want to carry my generation into like what we're meant to be.
Well, especially Pluto being in domicile in Scorpio, it's like intensity layered on intensity. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot.
Do you think it's interesting that like we give Pluto rulership of Scorpio and that is the place where it is the least? Like, it's in Scorpio for like 11 years, and
Oh,
that's the
the least
shortest amount of time. Taurus, it's in there for like 30 years.
right. Hmm.
So
Well, then maybe that's the balance, right? Because
Hmm.
Taurus is the sibling sign of Scorpio. So maybe Pluto needs to be in that opposite sign for longer to balance out the Scorpio. I don't know. I actually don't have a Scorpio Pluto, but I obviously know
Yeah.
quite a few. I'm actually in the Sagittarius, very
Hmm.
big Sagittarius Pluto
Hmm.
energy. So it's a little different, but
Yeah.
I love my Pluto Scorpios. So I love that you brought that up. Maybe that'll be a future episode that we can dive into. We have a lot
Hmm.
of ideas for what we
He
like.
gives too many ideas.
Yeah. But are we ready for Sagittarius moons?
I think so, yes.
Okay. You're the timekeeper, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. You felt that one coming up. There was like 5 more seconds.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
well, fun little fact, side note. I used to be a stand-up comic, and we used to have 5 minutes that we could be on stage.
So
So
you feel this.
there's somewhere in my subconscious 5 minutes, like pressure somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, different life. But that's perfect for entering into the Sagittarius
I was
moon.
just thinking that.
So playful, so comedic. It's our
Yeah.
last fire sign that we're going to talk about within the moon sphere.
Hmm.
And it's also a mutable sign, so it's also that changeable energy. But
Hmm.
so it's going to be different from that Aries moon, not as impulsive. It's going to be different from the Leo moon, from not as I think it would still be a little dramatic. I don't know. All the fire signs are dramatic in their own ways, but or at least attention seeking in some kind of way. Like you're gonna notice a fire sign probably more so than another. Um,
Hmm.
but with the mutable energy, it's more like changeable. I would love to know, like, yeah, your feeling when it, or like your vibe when you think about like a Sagittarius moon.
Hmm. Well, the Sagittarius moons that I know have all tried to teach me something. All of them. It's fine. I only have one listed because I would only call one of them like really close to me, but like just the list of people that aren't as close that I couldn't speak to on a personal level, but like they've all tried to teach me something. Um,
That's so great. That's
yeah, I mean to have the moon and Jupiter talking to each other like that, yeah, that there's a big amount of like there's like generosity there of like let me take care of me by taking care of others in a certain way. Um, and yeah, I can see that as the trying to teach someone something. I mean, Sagittarius is the teacher,
yeah.
right? It has the, opposing the Gemini student. It's the Sagittarius teacher. Um, yeah.
Yeah, Sagittarius moons are, Sagittarius is the adventurer. It is the philosopher, the teacher, and it cracks me up because the only Sagittarius placement I have is my Pluto.
Mm.
It's squaring my Sun and Mars, and it's having a relationship with all of my Aries placements, basically. So, I feel that Sagittarian teacher vibe so hardcore. And it's also really, it's that balance of like being the teacher and showing up and being like, yes, I want to teach you, but also not being like the preacher of like telling people things or trying to teach people things that they're not ready to learn or don't want to learn.
Mm.
And so that might be a Sagittarian moon thing as well. That's just like a
Yeah.
Sagittarian energy. But yeah, if we're talking about the moon space, like maybe Sagittarians do need to, like those moons need to feel like they're contributing in some way or, sharing knowledge in some sort of way. And again, in that Jupiterian way, more so than like the Gemini Mercury way of like, what's the bigger picture here? Like, let's think of the bigger goal. This doesn't have to be
Hmm.
like the nitpicky little things day to day. Like, who cares about the drama with Sarah? Like, let's talk about the longevity of the marriage itself, or I don't know. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
examples, but Sagittarians are the bigger picture, and they're also the optimists of the zodiac. It's like things are not that serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that Sagittarians struggle more than people give them credit for because I think that's where their source of optimism actually comes from is like, dang, I have been through the shit. And also I know that it's going to be okay because I've gotten out of it before.
Hmm.
They do have like a natural luck about them. So maybe that's also in the same like realm of the emotional space. Maybe like there's an instinct within them that just knows that everything's going to be okay, and that's going
Yeah.
to give them that emotional fulfillment.
Yeah.
Optimism is important uh yeah, theme for Sagittarian moons
Yeah.
emotional fulfillment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see that so much.
Mhm.
That makes so much sense.
I'm dating
Oh.
a Sagittarius Moon right now, and it's really fun. Really fun.
Oh.
They're always down for an adventure, and my Aries Moon's like, awesome. Let's
Yeah,
go do.
like let's go.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, did you have anything
Cute.
else you wanted to say about Sagittarius Moons?
Well, it's hard for me to talk about Sagittarius, and not like track away from the moon because my spouse is very Sagittarius and has like Sun and Jupiter in mutual reception.
Mm,
Big Jupiter.
yeah,
Sometimes their wisdom bro personality comes out.
I feel that. That's
But that's what I think of when I think of Sagittarius. I think of wisdom bro. And
totally,
yeah,
totally.
but yeah, let's move on to our Capricorn moons.
Capricorn Moon. This placement is in fall, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the opposite of Cancer Moon. Cancer's in domicile, right? The moon's ruled by Cancer. The opposite sign is Capricorn. Therefore, Capricorn's not going to be operating as well, or the moon's not going to be operating as well in Capricorn because of that opposite.
Hmm.
Capricorn's very earthy, cardinal earth.
Hmm.
They're Saturnian ruled. They're very much like, and this can also be for the Aquarius moon that we're going to talk about too. If you're Saturnian ruled, that's rigid. The moon doesn't like that energy.
Hmm.
It's not very expressive. It's time, and it's stoic, I should say. It's
Yeah.
like moving like the moon wants to. So I know a lot of Capricorn moons who are, they're driven and they find sometimes shame or weakness in expressing emotions or feeling them because it's like they want to be like the tough, you know,
Yeah.
rock for everyone. They're like,
Yeah.
but they have feelings too. And so I actually
Yeah.
really love when my Capricorn moon cries or like moons cry because it's like, yes, baby, like that's been in you. Like let it
Hmm.
out. Yeah, what do you have to say about Capricorn moon?
I'm realizing that one of the notes I have here is like absolutely incorrect. I remembered my own mom's moon sign wrong.
Oop.
She's not a Capricorn moon, she's a Virgo moon.
Oh, like you. Oh, I did that
Yeah.
from her. That's sweet.
Yeah, and they're conjunct too. They're like right there, same, almost the same degree. Yeah, my Capricorn moon people just seem to feel like they do have to put other people's feelings first. It's like they forget that they have their own feelings. It's like, well, we have to make everything stable and okay. So I have to like really do a lot of work to not destabilize things with my own feelings. It's like, oh, I'm like a little bit scared of letting my very changeable moon self actually change the structure. Like I gotta put that inside a little place and give it its spot, but it's only gonna get that spot. That's where it goes.
Mhm.
Um, I see so many like Capricorn folks kind of burn out, trying to be the rock, trying to be like the person who gets things done, trying to be like the group leader every single time. And it's like, no, we can show up for you. You can believe in us too. Like you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
yeah.
cancers would be a great balm. Again, like I'm a big believer if you have any like really concentrated energy in one sign, so like Capricorn, you might want to lean on
Hmm.
the opposite sign. Like Cancer is all about the nourishing, all about the ooey gooey, you know.
Hmm.
So embracing that energy might help you as a Capricorn moon just be more comfortable with where you're at emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also again, it depends on what house it's in for you. So if it's in
Totally.
your Capricorn moon is in your 10th house, like you're going to really care a lot about your legacy and your career and building something bigger than you and building something for
Hmm.
other people, something that will outlive you. That's
Hmm.
working towards that goal is going to help you feel emotionally secure.
Hmm.
Whereas if it was in the fourth house, that Capricorn moon, maybe building within the home space would be that service for you.
Mm. Yeah.
Anything else with the Capricorn moon?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like, okay, well, we've got the moon using the tools of Saturn, right? So we're building this like very sturdy space to hold in a lot of feelings. And it's also the place where Mars is exalted.
Hmm.
So the folks in Capricorn, they're like, we really like to take action. We believe in taking action. We're here for it. Um, and just thinking about how that might interact with, what the moon wants and needs to feel comfy. Because moon is always moving around, but would you call that changing action?
Right. Right. Well, so yeah, looking at your natal, if you have a Capricorn moon, look at the natal Saturn, see what that's doing.
Yeah.
And then also maybe just keep in mind too, just any Saturnian ruled planet, like Capricorn or Aquarius ruled anything, it's going to be, it might take time for it to mature. So maybe someone with a Capricorn
Yeah.
moon they might, yeah, take more time to mature, or things might get easier after your Saturn return if you can pass some of those lessons and understand what Saturn's trying to teach you. Then you can
Mm,
embrace it and then be more conscious moving forward with that energy.
yeah.
Cool.
Such a good point. Yeah, let's move on to our other Saturn sign.
Aquarius moons.
Mm,
I have a lot of these in my life. My dad's an
yeah.
Aquarius moon, and I love them. It's not like the most comfortable sign. Again, like it's another Saturnian ruled sign. Also, if we're gonna throw in modern rulership, Uranus with Aquarius, that's very erratic and not very, I'm
Hmm.
sure the moon's not comfortable with that energy. It is changing, but it's predictable in its change. The moon is very predictable in what it does. Uranus?
Hmm.
No, it's not. And neither
It's
here.
like absolutely not.
No. So the moon doesn't really love that. I would say that
Hmm.
my Aquarius moons struggle a lot of the time within the emotional space. I think they think
Hmm.
very logically and they like to think of things like their emotions. They think through their emotions. They're not going to be automatically like feeling them. It might
Hmm.
take them, depending on their other things in their chart. They might not even be able to feel them in the same kind of way. It doesn't mean they're not emotional because they definitely are. Every sign is emotional in their own way, but it's more like how much they allow themselves to access that. They like
Hmm.
to hold emotions, in my
Hmm.
experience, at an
Hmm.
arm's length and like
Yeah. It's
logical.
almost like the logic itself is the emotion, right? Of like, I've thought through this and I've decided that I feel this.
I that for sure with those moons. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you still have the tools of Saturn too. So,
Hmm.
that structure could offer you again, you can if you find a healthy outlet, it's not okay. Let me restart this. If you have
Hmm.
a moon that's not really like in a pleasant place, like say you just have some things in your chart that seem to be bad, quote unquote bad. I don't
Hmm.
like this perspective because it's like just because you have a challenge in your chart doesn't mean that it's always going to be bad. Like, for
Yeah.
example, squares, which is like tension within a chart, that actually can really motivate you to grow.
Hmm.
And that's like, and sometimes things are too easy, like too many trines
Yeah.
is going to be way too easy, not going to motivate you, and you're not going to have, any excitement, So
Yeah.
I just want to mention that for this Aquarius moon too, like you might be hearing like, dang, like it might be harder for me to have this placement or whatever. It's like, no, it's just about accepting this is the energy that you have. This is you. So
Yeah.
take who you are and just make it work. Meet
Yeah.
yourself where you're at. If you need to, logic your feelings, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it in a way that's harmful or like, that's also don't reject that part of yourself because that's who you are and you need to embrace that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's like the key, like not rejecting this part of yourself and knowing that like where we struggle is also like where we become the strongest.
definitely.
Like if I have to work out a particular muscle more than the rest of my body because like I need to do a particular action a ton in my life, I'm gonna get stronger being able to do that just because I have to, there's a ton of stairs to get to my house. I'm going to get stronger because there's that challenge in my way every day. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with having like something in detriment or something in fall. It's just sometimes it's where you become the strongest. I saying that as someone who has Mars in Cancer of
Yeah,
like I know how much that's really hindered me and also like is part of my blossoming into myself is to like really lean into that. So,
yeah, use it as your strength because like the more that
mhm.
we know about ourselves, that's why I like astrology as a tool, because the more that we know
Mhm.
ourselves, the more that we can be conscious of what we're doing, because a lot
Mhm.
of the time we're just acting subconsciously, and it's like if you get to the root of that, then you can actually have more free will.
Hmm.
So what do you want with that?
Yes.
I know.
Yes. And that's the point. That's what we're doing here. It's
Yes,
empowering for that reason. Um,
definitely.
yeah. I feel like we just hijacked Aquarius just to talk about like a much bigger conversation, which maybe Aquarius appreciates.
Aquarius would that is very Aquarian. Progressive signs, so maybe you also like just have a feeling or more progressive feelings towards things, or just like an inkling, you intuitively know like invention, like it's very an inventive sign. So maybe
Hmm.
like you also might relate to people in a very unique way. Like maybe you're more, polyamorous, for example.
Hmm.
You're just more open-minded with different ways of emoting and interacting with people too in a certain way. This
Hmm.
can also go the other way too, though, because it is still Saturnian ruled. So that is a very traditional sign. And I will say, like, my
Yeah.
father's more on that side of like keep
This
things
is the way things
normal.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
That kind of
yeah.
Aquarius. All right, last but definitely not least, we're going to be talking about Pisces moons. I have such a sweet spot for Pisces moons, maybe because I am a Pisces sun myself. So
Mm,
Pisces moons just get me. I feel like they feel me. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's a water sign. It's mutable energy, so changeable. And there's a lot of depth to Pisces energy. It's all
mhm,
encompassing. And so I
mhm,
feel like people with this placement often are very compassionate. They sometimes I'm thinking about one person in particularly, and she has Pisces moon in her 10th house. So
mm,
she shows up like you see her, like she's beautiful and she's just like very captivating. But when you talk to her, she's like, she feels like she can't shine or that other people are more important. Sometimes she gets lost in the emotions of others and forgets her own importance,
mm,
in a way. Because Pisces is so fluid, it's very dreamy. It's easy to lose yourself in that energy. And also, it's so receptive that sometimes you can't tell the difference between other people's feelings and your own. And I
yeah.
like that Pisces moon. Um, Even though the moon probably I mean, I don't see why I would have a problem with being in Pisces. It's
Mm,
water as well, and it's go with the flow, and the moon likes that energy. But the thing is, it might just be overwhelming because it's like the moon sitting in the ocean rather than the moon
yeah.
sitting like a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense to me. Yeah, having being in the domicile of Jupiter, like how does that like nurturing emotional body show up in a, very optimistic, like generous, giving way? You know,
Yeah.
I have some Pisces moons in my life and they can be a little bit spacey, you
Yeah.
know,
Sure.
a little bit like, what were we doing? Where am I going? But so deeply feeling, so deeply like really, even if they don't like understand necessarily what they're feeling or what you're feeling, they feel it,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
They're on that same wavelength as you.
yeah,
And I wonder
yeah.
really what the difference, because I do have all my own Pisces energy and I feel like I can relate to a lot of that. But
Hmm.
that's when it then gets to the differentiation that's kind of hard because we are seeing things off screen. You and I were talking about how like our perceptions of things color how we see things as well.
Hmm.
And so like I'm seeing things through a Pisces lens in a certain way, but so I can kind of see how I could put my lens in like a Pisces, because I'm Pisces sun, so maybe I can put myself in a Pisces moon shoes. But ultimately, I'm seeing it still from my Aries moon perspective and all my other
Yeah,
placements perspective.
yeah.
So it's hard to sometimes know what that truth is. And also, again, everyone experiences it differently with how their planets are interacting with their chart.
Yeah, with if you have a Pisces moon, definitely look at where Jupiter is in your chart. Like what house is the moon in? What house is Jupiter in? That's really going to like tie together um how that's going to show up in your life.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I know someone who has a seventh house Pisces moon, and he is really, you know, it amazes me like how successful he is in his life when also being like the space cadet, sweetie pie, like he's like a a leader in his workplace. And I'm like, how are you doing this? But he's just leading with his heart.
Yeah.
It's really clear that he's leading with his heart. And I'm like, I hope you don't burn out because you're so like precious and like so clearly needed. All that like love and generosity that he's bringing to that space.
Mhm.
And actually, my brother is a Pisces moon.
Oh,
So we have that like Virgo Pisces as siblings. Um, and it's in his ninth house. So like really, I think about the ninth house as having a lot of like perspective on life. You know, it's the house of the sun, and it's because of that, it's associated with like I can see everything and I can judge everything because I know.
yeah.
Um, and my brother, like, yeah, he gets quite confused on whose feelings is whose,
Mhm.
but also is so confident in, like, I know. Um, I know what I'm feeling. I know what you're feeling. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you don't. Oop,
That's our
that
time.
was our 5 minutes for Pisces.
Right, that's our Pisces moons. And
Yeah.
yeah, we've come to the end of our video podcast here. Thank you so much for joining us on Foolish Friends. And once again, my name is Bren Bigelow. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a professional astrologer, tarot reader, and pole dancer. So if you would like to book a reading with me, you're more than welcome to. And also, if you're in the Denver area, we host monthly astrology events, monthly tarot reading events, new moon events, and pole dancing events. So if any of that interests you, check me out on fortuneofthefool.com. I will also link that in the show notes. But yeah, with this Mercury retrograde coming up, might be a good time to get a reading from either me or Alanna. Alanna, would you like to say where we can find you as well?
Yeah, I also am a professional astrologer. My books are open for readings, and you can find me at sacredshadowastrology.com. Um, yeah, I am kind of excited for the Mercury retrograde because I'm very Mercury and I love getting that like extra flavor in there. Um, and this weekend, I'm headed out to the North Star camp out for like astrologers and magicians of all kinds. I'm so excited to come back and get to tell you all about it. I think it's going to be really beautiful. I have a few astrology crushes that I will get to meet. What a
Woo,
delight for me.
woo. I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's where I'll be. And yeah, we'll enter eclipse season soon, and I'll see you again
Yes,
in about a
next
month.
month we have a little idea of what we want to do. We would like to share our synastry and composite charts with you. So basically, Alana's chart overlaid with mine, and then also them mixed together in both synastry and composite charts. So we can we're new in our connection with each other, and we just really clicked. And we were just looking at our synastry during a break and how like perfect and on point it is. We met on a Gemini new moon, and our composite ascendant is Gemini rising and moon like together
Hmm.
fused. It makes perfect sense for us. So
Yeah.
we want to just dive deeper into how we would maybe even do a synastry reading for a client, or a
Hmm.
composite reading for a client, why we use what for, like, why would we use a synastry chart over a composite chart? And why do
Yeah.
we just look at two synastry charts? Like mine on top of Alana's versus Alana's on top of mine because it'll show up a little differently how Alana's showing up in my life versus how I'm showing up for them. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. And we,
Oh, that's gonna be so fun.
yeah, continue like growing this connection and sharing our wisdom with you all.
Hmm. So grateful to collaborate with you, Bren. Thank you for having me on the
Oh,
podcast again.
thank you. And we would also love to collaborate with you all. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, additions, things that we might
Hmm.
have missed, please leave a comment. We want to know, like, if you have a certain
Yeah.
sign, how do you feel it and express it? What house is it in for you? We want to know. Join the conversation.
Yes, please.
Cool, cool. All right, y'all. We'll find more of us in the show notes and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.